Now, this will be interesting, Austin. Is if this, since we've had this on our screen for the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, are we gonna get more views on YouTube somehow? Algorithm's gonna
Definitely.
do something funky.
You're definitely
I
gonna have
think
to
I think we're
caption Sydney
We
Sweeney.
paste correct, like hashtag it in the full pod episode, like Sydney
yeah.
Sweeney. Will we get
I want
more
to put it
views
in the
then?
title. Put it in the
Yeah,
title of it. Episode 12 with Sydney Sweeney filling in for Sam.
something like that.
Plot twist: Sam is never coming back. Sydney will be on the show
He's
from
staying
here on out.
silent forever.
We've been talking since the 5th grade, and somehow we've got more to say. Beat kicks in faster rhythm. Inflation's high, the game's too steep. Stream wars rage while we lose sleep. Big tech's wild, the Fed's a mess. But let's start a party, I guess. Symposium, where tangents thrive. Old friends talking, the takes collide. Symposium, no wrong or right. Just good conversation deep into the night. Yeah, we're still talking.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Symposium episode number 12. We are ready for a great show today. Got a lot of great topics to cover. But if you'll notice, we're one short. It's just three of us. And no, I wasn't talking about Matthew's height when I said short. What I meant was we're one. That was mean. What I
They
meant
don't know
was
how
we're
tall
one
I am.
host short.
This is a digital platform.
True, they don't. They only seen your shoulders and up. Yeah, that's right. From the shoulders and above, Matthew's a
They're mostly
giant.
listeners too.
But oh yeah, that's true. Um, no, Sam is missing this week and pretty much all month. He's on a bit of a self-reflection journey. So he's overseas in a few countries that I frankly don't know how to say and couldn't point out on a map. America first. Um,
Sure.
and he but he's doing some vacationing, I think, and then he's doing a silent retreat where it's our understanding that he'll be completely disconnected and silent for, I think, a full week at least. um, so definitely expect that he's going to have a lot to say when he returns. I need to actually spend some time like thinking of some questions to be prepared, and it's gonna we you sort of have to they say when you've like been starving, right? You shouldn't go eat a huge meal. Like I mean truly starving, like we've never experienced, right? But like truly starving, first thing you shouldn't do is go eat a massive meal. You have to sort of wean yourself back onto it, to eating. For Sam, I wonder if it'll be the same, right? Like, is he gonna come out of this thing just ready to talk a mile a minute,
Should we
or
schedule a
right? I think
episode the
like
day he comes back?
right as he lands, we need to be ready because he might just have an unbelievable amount to say. He might have solved some of like the world's hardest, toughest questions that we've been thinking about. So going to be very curious to hear that. So sorry in advance if this episode is not as sort of futuristic or maybe thought provoking as to counterpoints, but we have a lot to cover, from AI to the this T app debacle to Sydney Sweeney, Happy Gilmore, Trump and Powell. I mean, the list goes on and on. A lot's happened over the last couple of weeks, and we sort of cover it all. So let's get right into it. Did either of you watch Happy Gilmore 2?
I don't have Netflix.
Shit.
I don't know how I'm gonna watch it.
Not a good start. We'll have to table that. I watched it. I thought it was funny. A lot of people
Yeah,
have conflicting opinions. Biggest opening weekend in any Netflix movie history, I think. 46 million people watched it or something like that.
that's pretty good.
Um, I thought it was well done. They did I don't know. Some people didn't like some of some of the storyline and the pacing of it. And honestly, people are saying like, "Oh yeah, it was kind of like it was sort of dumb," and I'm like, "Well, it's an Adam Sandler movie, so
I don't know what people expect. And it was a
what do you
Netflix
think?"
release. It's not like they're
Yeah,
taking themselves too seriously.
right.
I bet the
Like,
budget wasn't crazy.
How
Like
much?
no, the
that's
budget was like $30 million.
yeah. So
How much golf did we get out of it? A lot. Literally.
I mean, there's a decent amount of golf. There's a lot of like silly golf, like in the storyline, like it's a lot of like unrealistic golf, which is like,
That's what I was
the
wondering.
first one wasn't really that realistic golf, but um, it was the cameos were great. I mean, it was the whole time you're just like getting bombarded with like all these cameos of people, so many
From the
like so
last
many
movie, or
golfers,
just famous people in
general.
general?
No, just famous people in general, like Reggie Bush, Bad Bunny, Eric Andre, tons of pro golfers. What's his name? That's in all of them. Dan Patrick.
So they just threw as many
I mean, just
celebrities as they could get into this thing.
so many, but it's like I think that's just what he likes to do. He just likes to hang out with all these people and and make movies and like people watch them obviously. So, um, I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend watching it.
I'll give it a watch if I can.
So, give it a try.
we got to get the Matthew movie summary segment going.
Yeah.
So
Matthew's
thanks for
movie
dropping
Yeah, I
minute.
want to hear his great breakdown of
That's
Happy
movie
Gilmore
minute.
2.
I'm watching No Country for Old Men right now.
You're watching what?
No Country for Old Men right now.
You got to
What?
finish the full word.
Yeah, I
That
know.
was risque there.
I haven't watched it all in one sitting yet, so that's why I couldn't remember the name.
Rated X.
But apparently it's a classic. It's one that I just never seen, so I'll give you my review of that one next. I want to see the Superman movie. I've
I
heard
did
it's
see
very
that.
good. Was it good?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a well done movie.
They say it's like very much like a comic. Is that true?
I don't know what that means necessarily. Like that's pretty broad in my
They
opinion.
say
But
that
I
it's
thought
like they drop you in the middle of like a comic book as opposed to like a Marvel movie where you're kind of just like, here's the beginning of
oh
the
yeah,
story.
this felt like it
here's
was
the end.
a first of
Okay.
something. It didn't feel like anything connected to anything else. It helped if you were a little bit of a nerd and kind of knew the other characters or what they were talking about a little bit. But really well done. I thought the pacing was good. I thought the action scenes were a good mix. Lots of CGI because he's flying through the air in Superman, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I would say it's probably one to see in theaters.
Question: how much is a movie in your city? I won't dox you.
We've doxed each other so many times already.
How much does a movie cost?
Depends where
to
you're
go
going.
to the movie theater. To go to
It's like $15, but we go to this like bougie movie theater that serves you food. and
Yeah, that's
stuff.
expensive.
not
There's
bougie
one
movie
still
theater. Standard theater. I think most of them have the kickback chairs at this point, but they won't bring
it's like
food to your seat.
15, $16. But that's for the nice one. That's like a movie's 14, like a Cinemark theater.
Is that with
There are
taxes?
still. That's like that's with the final price.
Okay.
But there is one in Niles that is called
yeah.
Wonderland.
Yeah.
And that one you can get tickets. Tickets are $4 a pop, and then the drinks and food are still under. Basically, my wife and I got 2 tickets, a water, a large Diet Coke, a large popcorn, candied nuts, basically, and that was all. That was all $16. Like all those combined. So that's kind of like I don't know how they stay in business, but I'm so glad it's still around. Like that's nostalgic movie theaters of days past.
That's where we saw Chronicles of Narnia. You guys remember that?
Is that where that was?
Jeez. I don't remember. I remember.
No wonder that
going
was a
to see
cheap
it, but I don't
class
remember,
trip.
like, yeah. I'm gonna share my screen. If you have young children, you may want to shield
Avert their eyes. Wait, are we moving off the movie thing? Because I wanted to talk more about the movie thing since we didn't do much Sandler stuff.
Sorry, we can keep going on the movie thing.
If we're gonna have to fill time, I got some thoughts on movies.
Why do we need to film? What time are we?
I don't
filming?
think we need to
Well,
go
you had
more
Adam
on
Sandler.
that.
Not my thought on general. I'm not gonna pick like movies and talk about them. I'm saying so. That's why I asked you about how much a movie costs because movies are getting incredibly expensive to go to. I think we're moving to. I personally think we're moving to the death of the movie theater pretty soon. Would you guys agree or disagree? I
I
think
don't
I
think so.
I don't think
I
it's gonna
think
be the death of the movie theater. It might not ever reach its past climax, but I think it's always gonna be an option for people to go to and get out of the house.
just find different ways to make them. Like now that they've got these that serve beer and food and all this stuff, and you go see it, and it's in the IMAX, and you see Top Gun
but
2, and it's
IMAX is more
cool,
expensive.
and all that business. I think it's like you probably go and you're willing to you make more an event of it. Also, it's like the real estate costs now of these types of buildings where the movie theaters are is probably not what it used to be really. So I'm sure they're not as profitable and it's not as good of a business, but I don't think that they're going to necessarily ever really die completely.
I think the big box office movie theaters like the AMC's and the Showtimes, I think they're going to disappear within the next 10 years. 10 too early. 20 years. I think they will be gone. Most people don't care about going to the movie theater anymore. And if you go to the movie theaters, I don't know how it is in your guys' cities, but the experience is pretty bad now too because people generally have lost all sense of like being cordial in the film. I feel like people are very loud and annoying now in movies. Um, I, for me, the price to go to a movie is over $20. So I refuse to go unless it's a major box office that I've been like dying to see. And I think those are the only ones that people go to in general anyway. The ones that are super marketed. Movies aren't going anywhere. I just think it's going to be all streaming and more niche movie theaters. Like we have one local one here that does like a bunch of reruns and stuff, and they get a bunch of like indie films or like A24 films that don't necessarily go to like the big box office. And I think those will always be around, but they don't have like a big branding. They're just like an old theater that makes those, and I'm sure that their concessions are like expensive and stuff because that's what they can do to make money. But I just don't think there's much of an appeal for it anymore. That's my opinion.
Well, that's you can cut that or not cut that, but like cut that out as a prediction. 10 years, we got to come back to this podcast, and we'll see if the movie theaters are still in play. Matthew Sunda, 10 years for the death
I'll
of the
post it as a
movies.
clip.
It's sad, but like,
You'll probably get a lot of meme stock traders if I tag AMC.
did people think that like Blockbuster was going to go out of business and Family Video? Like, those were staples of people's everyday lives for about 30 years, right? And then they're just gone. The media
Yeah.
has just changed. I think people still enjoy movies and any sort of visual media, but it's just going to move on like how we watch them. Because you can buy every movie now that it's in movie theaters on a stream too. You can spend $20 and rent it, which is the same price it cost me to go to the theater. It's like, why am I going to the theater?
The $20 to rent on like Amazon Prime is ridiculous.
Agreed. I never
Like, I
do
get
it.
the convenience of it, but like I will never do that.
Agreed. And I personally am somebody who likes going to the theater. So this opinion is not based off of my enjoyment. I personally like going to movie theaters and watching movies, but if it's going to cost me $20 and then concessions and all of that jazz to go, when I can watch it for the same price at home, I'm just going to wait until it gets cheaper to watch it at home. Okay, that's my movie. That's Matthew's movie minute.
All right.
Thank you for coming. What happened to my screens here? Hold on. Oh, let me test this. This would be a place that I want to cut, so I'm going to hit this mark button. Okay, we will see. All right, if you have young children, avert their eyes, unless you want them to see what true American culture looks like. Can you all see this?
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Yes. So this week, American Eagle launched a massive ad campaign for their new line of jeans. Sydney Sweeney was the spokeswoman for it, figurehead for it. This thing was everywhere. It was like, I mean, on every social media platform. It blew up. It was on like everywhere I seem to look. Times Square, apparently, it was covering Times Square with this tagline: Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Obviously, a play on that she's wearing the American Eagle jeans, and that she has great genes, like genealogy, because she's obviously a nice looking woman. I'll say. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I think she's a nice looking woman. Um,
Overrated, but agreed. She's a nice looking woman.
just one on the financials. Don't know what she got paid for this spot, but American Eagle stock jumped something like 14% on this happening. It's about a $2 billion company, so that was about $200 million in market cap that it jumped. It's settled now around 6% up. So just rounding, let's say that just this campaign has added about $100 million of market cap to the company. I doubt she got paid $100 million, but I'm sure she did all right. So pretty interesting, just from a financial perspective, to see what happens here. But a lot of people, I would say the silent, loud minority, got pretty up in arms at this, saying that we should not be promoting that this is what great genes looks like. Genes being like GENES, saying essentially that the right way for someone to look is to be white, blonde, etc. Um, and that was a bad message for American Eagle to be putting out. So you had a few TikToks of some folks who are, again, the loud minority, kind of crying a bit literally on TikTok. Um, and so anyway, just wanted to see if you all saw this story and get your opinions on if you're uh, offended by the ad campaign or if you don't really care.
There's a video to go along with this. On a podcast that I was listening to, they played the video. But yeah, it was just like a.
You listen to other podcasts?
I have to get inspiration on how we can improve from other podcasts. So listen to other podcasts. Um,
I'm sorry, we're not good enough to play the video. I have another video queued up, but not this one.
Not this one. I don't. It's one of those things. It's making a mountain out of a molehill.
All right. Should I give my opinion, or you want to give yours, Justin?
Give your opinion, Matthew.
I mean, I don't see any problem with the clothing company putting an attractive woman on as their spokesperson on an ad campaign. That's what every company should do. To sell clothes, you put attractive people in them, just like in any advertisement. I don't see any problem with that. People are going to be up in arms about just about anything if they because probably they have nothing better to do. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with her posing in the clothing. This isn't even like, obviously she's an attractive woman, but it's not like this is that like revealing anyway. Like she's wearing like a full body suit. She's not in a bikini. She's
It's a
like
lot
barely,
of jeans.
yeah, like she's like barely exposed. Like also it's 2025. Who cares what you're wearing? But like,
She's been far more exposed in
yes,
other
in every
films that
pretty
she's
much every
partaken
content that
in.
she's been in. This is probably the most clothes she's been.
Like, the people are upset by like, oh, this is what good jeans look like when
Right.
GENE.
Yes.
But that is so stupid. You could have taken any person of any racial background and put them in there if they were objectively looking in the same for the same things. I think they go with Sydney just because she's wildly recognizable for the stuff she's been in, and like she's been on the news and she just has. I think a lot of people know her. That's like if you just look at this objectively, why you would pick her as a marketing campaign. I don't. Yeah, you call it the loud minority. I just don't see this. Should not be a big deal in any way, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's
So we don't have to really say much more about it, but
That's one of the negative externalities, in my opinion, of the internet and social media. Not the internet, social media in general. The negative externality is that the idea is to give everybody a voice, but it gives a voice, it makes certain voices louder than they maybe should be. And I don't really know what you do about that. You just hopefully have enough rational people to realize that it is just a loud minority who have an opinion, but it doesn't really matter. So,
Not. Think of the marketing person who came up with this idea, and then it's blown up because of the giant controversy, and like now you've made like twice as much just it's out there.
Impressions. Yeah.
Yeah, twice as many impressions. I mean, you're a genius sitting there in the marketing department. And how does that even work? Does marketing people do they get commission for like, wow, you added 100 million market cap to our
I mean,
stock?
I'm certain that the CMO probably has a good amount of options, stock options. So I'm certain that like she's enjoying the
Yeah,
fruits
I
of it.
mean,
But um, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild that someone can like. It's clearly they made a good choice in what they picked because of the market reaction and the amount of impressions that it got. They could have picked random, random Latino guy to wear the clothes, and you would have never seen this. Would
kind
have.
of a weird time for marketing though, because I mean, we're not gonna go dive into this, but like weird stocks had jumps, right? Krispy Kreme had a giant jump.
Well,
Um,
that's warranted. Donuts are amazing.
yeah, but oh crap, another like meme stock had a big jump. I mean, and then American Eagle has a big jump. You're just like, okay, whatever. Like, so the market's a weird place right now.
Oh yeah, the market's definitely getting a bit memey, um, and yeah. So who knows? I mean, I think any catalyst that you get for
Now,
kind of the general populace to
this
go
will be
all in on
interesting,
a
Austin.
name.
Is if this, since we've had this on our screen for the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, are we gonna get more views on YouTube somehow? Algorithm's gonna
Definitely.
do something funky.
You're definitely
I
gonna have
think
to
I think we're.
caption Sydney
We
Sweeney.
paste correct, like hashtag it in the full pod episode, like Sydney
Yeah,
Sweeney. Will we get
I want
more
to put it
views
in the
then?
title. Put it in the
Yeah,
title of it. Episode 12 with Sydney Sweeney filling in for Sam.
something like that.
Plot twist: Sam is never coming back. Sydney will be on the show
He's
from
staying
here on
silent forever.
out.
Killed his
Hey, we're not
podcasting
getting.
career.
We're pretty close, I'd say, to being able to actually just have Sydney be a co-host with what we can do in AI. So who knows? Um, all right. Well, enough about her. As much as we could probably just leave the image here for the whole show. I will get us to our next clip. But to set that up before I do, I think we'll kind of go in and talk a little bit about the overall state of the economy. You had obviously big tariff day. Liberation Day 2.0 is coming up August 1st, so just in 2 days' time from when we're recording this on Wednesday the 30th. That's when all the tariffs go into effect from when they got delayed last time. So you've seen quite a few deals with some of the bigger trading partners come through, Japan, the UK, etc. Some talk with China here over the last couple
Europe.
days, Europe, but you know, ultimately, like it seems like there's going to be this baseline tariff that gets kind of applied, and really the market's like not reacting to it that much. I mean, Trump's saying, that it's going to happen, and everybody's kind of ultimately just it's seemingly just good that this is going to be the status quo, and so I think you have that coupled with um, what we're seeing from inflation and interest rates that are causing a pretty interesting dynamic. So, on the inflation front, we're starting to see inflation start to tick up just a little bit as some of that tariff impact starts to get passed through. But at the same time, we're not seeing ultimately companies be able to pass on all of this tariff. So you've seen some of some of the consumer names like Whirlpool, Stanley Black and Decker both reported earnings yesterday and were terrible. And then you're seeing a lot of just margin compression across the board, I would say in the non-tech sector, because we're seeing companies not be able to have the essentially the demand, the elasticity of the demand isn't there to be able to pass on the price that's associated with these tariffs. And so ultimately, the United States is collecting record levels of tariff revenue, but it's really being funded by U.S. companies right now. Um, and that's I think probably like going to be pretty short-lived. I think in the second half of the year here we're going to start to see more and more of that cost get passed on. So Whirlpool was actually pretty interesting when I was looking into um, earlier. What they kind of said was that China essentially dumped a ton of product into the United States before the tariffs took effect, and so they haven't been able to raise their prices as much as what they should be able to when there is the tariff impact to the price of the foreign washing machine coming in. And so I think as eventually they're able to start to pass more of that through, you'll start to see kind of their margin stabilize and ultimately this will end up being the tax on the American people that we expected it would be, just maybe not to the full extent that we would have thought originally when Liberation Day 1.0 happened. So all that to say, then the Fed is getting pressured by Trump to lower rates, which Jerome Powell has not done, and they decided to hold steady again today, because you have this dynamic of the Fed is tasked with two things, right? It's keeping unemployment low and keeping inflation low, or at the 2% targets. Inflation's starting to tick up a little bit. Unemployment's low already, so there's not really the appetite or like the rationale for why you should lower rates, in light of the fact that there's this potential looming inflationary impact of tariffs. Trump, on the other hand, would really like rates to go down to kind of add that fuel to the fire that's already really burning in the economy, to allow more and more investment. So that's kind of a setup. I want to just I want to get your all's takes, and I think Justin, you had some thoughts for sure on the tariff piece. But I wanted to first just play this quick clip of Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Trump was taking a tour of the new Fed headquarters
This is hilarious.
in DC. He's been very upset with this project because it's had a lot of cost overruns, and Trump's real stingy on construction projects, right? So he met with Jerome Powell, and I will just play the clip here, which was pretty funny and caught a lot of attention.
It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
It just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no,
including the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
It's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any?
So anyway, in case that was hard to hear, basically, he says the number went up by $500 million or whatever because he adds on another building that was already completed, and that was just literally, people were saying that's a clip that could be out of The Office, and you wouldn't, like, that could be in the show The Office, and you wouldn't even know any different, or a Saturday Night Live skit. So anyway, I did enough setup there of kind of the state of the world. Who wants to go first? And if you have any thoughts on the economic picture that we're living in right now.
I mean, so basically you paint a picture of the economy looking good right now. I think GDP actually came out for what was that,
Yes.
quarter two?
Yes,
And
3%.
that was a 3% growth. So you got all these weird signs saying things are actually really good, but you have stuff on the edges, like you said, inflation was creeping up a little bit, imports way down compared to where they were last year. So you are starting to see the tendrils of what a tariff policy can do. And to basically, when I was thinking about this more, it's like, okay, when has the United States last done this? And those were part of the Smoot-Hawley tariff in the 30s under Herbert Hoover. I was doing a little research on this, and some of the things I found interesting when I was looking this up were just some of the similarities that the Trump administration had, and I assume the Hoover administration had during this time, because in the 30s they were like, all right, we got to protect American farmers, and nowadays Trump is like, hey, we got to protect American manufacturers. In the 30s, it was also, hey, this is an American first policy. This will make America, prosper. And nowadays, hey, this is American first. we want to have this help prosper, within the United States. Um, but it's just is very strange to me that these similarities are coming back at this time, 90 years later, but so similar. And you just have to look at the consequences of what happened in the 30s. Obviously, the Great Depression really, I mean, you could argue it got kicked off in the late 20s, but it got really bad in the 30s. And you're just kind of like thinking of the phrase, if you don't learn from the future, or if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. It's just I don't like the idea that this is still as high and significant as we are seeing it. I think what you're talking about, Austin, earlier with the mass importing in the early part of the year is the reason why the economy is still doing all right. I think businesses had the right idea of like, oh wait, we have to get everything while it's relatively cheaper to import, and then we are seeing them eat tariffs at the moment. And I have to eat some crow because I'm always like, oh, businesses, all they care about is their profit margin. I hate them
You
and
should love this.
blah,
You
blah,
should
blah. And
love
I have
seeing
to
that.
respect the current state of what's happening, but is that only because their inventories are so bloated they have no other option? And that's probably why, because they had the insight to say, this is going to be bad for us, let's order more. So we right now, hopefully they're thinking, oh, maybe they're thinking, oh, Trump's going to reverse himself, so we don't have to pay these tariffs later in the year. Well, now it's later in the year, and it does not look like he's going to take these tariffs off. So the question is, how much are these companies that I badmouth, how much are they willing to suffer before they do just fully pass through these price hikes and pass them on to the American consumer? Because I don't think we're seeing that. I personally haven't been impacted by anything, but like I was going to order a laptop, and a buddy at work of mine was ordered the same laptop back in February or March, and the price of that laptop today is about $300 more. Same exact laptop. So I think that's the only example I personally have been impacted and said, oh, well, that's definitely a tariff thing. Um, so I don't like how the tariff policy is still as wide-ranging as it is. I thought it could have been more targeted against specific countries. I still don't like how we're trying to help manufacturing when the United States is a service-based economy. That doesn't make any sense to me. Um, so I don't see this ending in a good way. And I know our co-host Sam, who's not with us, says he wants a point for saying tariffs are going to be a good thing. I think it's the beginning of a long story. Just for context, this was I thought was interesting. So the Holly Smoot tariff was signed in June of 1930, and by mid 1931, uh, exports and imports were both down by over 30% from the United States. So it took a full year of these being in place for it to really start feeling the impacts. So we're really early in this story with these tariffs, and they technically haven't even started. Like you said, Liberation Day got postponed, so like technically they could start being bad tomorrow. Like again, so I don't know. It's also uncertainty, and I don't like markets don't like uncertainty. Uh, so I don't like the direction still with this whole tariff policy. I don't agree with it.
Do we think that, my question is like, why have we not felt it yet, right? If we think that these tariffs are going to impact it, eventually the companies are going to pass it off to the consumers. Why haven't we felt it yet? Is that because the majority of the tariffs don't go into effect until 2 days from now, August 1st? And do we think the markets then are just waiting? Most of the markets were just waiting to see if Trump would actually implement the tariffs. And then,
Yeah, I
like
think that's
tomorrow, do you
definitely.
think we're
I
going to
think.
start seeing a downturn?
I think it's. Do you know the scene like in The Office where I forget who it is, Dwight, Michael, and Pam? Maybe they're all holding the guns pointed at each other. I think this is also like a Superman thing. It's like a GIF. But the three people holding the guns at each other, right? You don't know like who's gonna shoot, and like there's not ultimately like all of And even at the supplier level, think about like Walmart, right? All their suppliers are like ready to come in, but they don't have a great reason to come in until they can actually say the tariff actually is in effect. And then Walmart can say, okay, we will accept the fact that the tariff is in effect. We'll pay you the higher cost. We're going to go to our customers now and demand the same. So I think that's one element for sure. I think the element that Justin was kind of mentioning of just like you have buildup in inventory that takes time to run through. And so you can sort of weather some of this uncertainty for a while and still like maintain margin. But I think it'll also be interesting to see because like it is sort of a one-time tax in the fact that like year over year, right? Assuming that the tariff rate doesn't increase next year over year, it's just like a step change in the cost of the product, like a one-time step change in the cost of the product. But now you're like paying that higher baseline every year from here on out. And so, but if we start to get into like a tariff war where we're going back and forth and saying it's 15, you say 20, now we're up to 30, 40, right? Like that's where it could get
Yeah,
pretty dangerous.
that was one thing I forgot to bring up. So one thing that the major difference I'm seeing in when I was reading about the 1930s tariff versus this one is that when that happened in the 30s, a lot of countries then did start retaliatory tariffs against the United States. But nowadays we're seeing like how can we just walk away from a what was it on Japan? Is it 10%? 10 or 15% on Japan? We say 10% tariff and then they're allowing imports with 0% tariff. Like what? There doesn't seem to be much retaliation going on. So I thought that difference, is it because the United States is a global superpower, and in the 1930s we really weren't a we were a global power, but we weren't a superpower in the 30s, right? It took till after World War II to really knock a lot of people out, and we were the only country not bombed to shit, basically. So is that the big difference? Can we be a world bully in this sense and basically say other countries don't have the balls to have a retaliatory tariff because it's going to hurt them worse than it hurts us? I don't know. I think that's a very interesting question to kind of ponder because we're not seeing retaliatory. China kind of did, but then I mean China actually was probably the best fight against us, right? They basically said, okay, if you're going to put this giant tariff on us, we're just not going to give you any rare earth metals. And the United States was like, oh shit, we need those rare earth metals. And now I don't even know where we're at with the China tariff. I think we're like communicating daily with China now to get what we need. So
They're giving it a 90. Yeah, I was just looking at this. So they just met in Stockholm. I don't know why that's the place where we have a neutral ground meeting between the Chinese and the US, but they just met the last 2 days, and we've now decided on a further 90-day truce with them,
how's the TikTok
with
ban
with
going?
China.
Have we
They have
implemented that?
not resolved that. That's kind of
Shocker.
always like tangentially part of these
Mm.
negotiations, but no one will really say like it's actually part of it. They're just saying, oh, it could be part of it, and we think it'll get resolved.
That
They're
that
very like
was
wishy-washy on it.
that was signed off by Congress, right? That's a law. That's yeah, interesting. Executive branch,
Classic
not
politics.
not
Kick it down the
not
road for
doing the
somebody else
law.
to solve.
But it's different than that though. It's literally the law, and the executive branch is not It's very interesting to me. Still, is that one that it's just kind of being ignored. And like, if you want to make a battle against the Trump government, you're saying breach of or like corruption in the fact that it's not obeying the law. Like, if you're trying to make an argument to vote against the Conservative Party, you're like, you guys are breaching laws everywhere, and like setting new precedents. So I don't know. I think that
Per
one's funny.
Reuters, Scott Bessent said Tuesday, U.S.-China trade talks were far-reaching, robust, and highly satisfactory, but the future of the short-term of the not short-term the short video app TikTok, as well as the movement of Taiwan officials, did not come up.
Oh, it didn't come up.
So we'll address that at a later date. Maybe when President Xi and Trump finally get together later in the year, they can hash out the TikTok deal.
Why doesn't Amazon or someone just buy TikTok? Like, what is wrong with these companies?
I think China doesn't want to sell it.
Is that the issue? They just can't get it out of their hands?
I'm presuming that the Chinese government doesn't want to give it up, but I don't know.
Just imagine all the AI, like if you're one of the tech companies, all the AI all the training you would have with the TikTok, or
Yeah.
it would be a no-brainer investment. I don't understand why this is so hard.
I'm sure there are plenty of people lined up to buy it if somebody would allow to sell it. I think Trump, he said that he wants the United States to basically own it as all the people own it essentially. But it would be run by Oracle or whoever. I think Oracle hosts it today in the US, so
Sounds like
that's what
socialism
I know
to
kind of
me.
thought.
I know one person that transferred over from TikTok to Reels. So, not many people have moved off of TikTok.
You guys on Threads, the Meta app for
Poor Meta.
for what, Twitter, I guess. Anyway, any more thoughts or anything else you guys wanted to add
Jerome
on the
Powell,
tariff
I think
piece?
he's doing
Or
exactly
Jerome
what he's
Powell?
supposed to be doing. That video, I mean, it's funny, but at the same way, I respect the hell out of him for being able to call that out and know his shit when he looks at a piece of paper that was obviously set up as a trap. Like
Yeah.
that, I've never seen a more obvious trap on TV. It was kind of
It's
like
like cameras are on. Okay, I'm putting this in your
it was like the
pocket.
Zelensky thing,
Take
but
this
like
out.
done. But the guy was actually ready this time. It was just kind of funny. But I have to respect him because he does have. That's why the Fed is separate from the executive branch. It does not hold. It does not hold the agenda of the executive branch, so you can see it happening with Powell. Now you are. There were. What was the big thing though about the vote today? So the basis rate does not change. That was decided, but 2 Fed governors voted against it. Basically, something that had not been done in previous history, or at least for a long time. They normally almost unanimously all agree. So there are rumblings of there needs to be change. Or I also saw a take that just said these guys just want to be the next Fed chair, so
Right.
they're trying to get on his good side. So
Right, we're gonna get a new Fed chair soon, and so Powell can only.
I don't
hold
think
on
he'll
for so
fire
much
Powell,
longer,
but
and
yeah,
so-
by next year, I think his term is up in. Is it summer or fall of next year? So those guys might just want the job.
Can he fire
Right.
Jerome Powell? I honestly don't know.
He can.
He has the authority to fire him.
It's like,
But does he then get to appoint the next person, or is it voted on by someone?
You appoint.
he'll appoint.
Fed
Okay,
chairs.
so why wouldn't he fire him?
Um,
He's always complaining about him.
I
The
think just
markets.
because the markets don't like
The
it.
markets would
Every
go
time,
with that.
every time he makes a comment and says I'm gonna fire Powell, the market tanks.
Hmm.
Because and so he's been kind of pressure testing it, I think. But the market doesn't want to set that precedent to then get that extra layer of essentially uncertainty because they've baked in obviously the forecast of what the Fed says into every model that fuels what every price target is on every stock. So it is important to have some level of consistency in that role and not be kind of whipsawing back and forth and firing and hiring. So he seems to come around to his senses on that.
Matt, so I get the vibe that maybe you don't pay attention to the financial side of that sort of news all the time. As a person not in the loop of all things, how are you feeling the economy is just as a high level 50,000-foot view?
As a consumer, I don't feel a major impact. I mean, things are definitely getting more expensive. We definitely have a bit of inflation and things do feel pricier, but I can't say I feel a major impact. Remember when everybody was complaining about eggs? It doesn't feel like that anymore. Where it feels like everything's doubled in price. It just feels like it's slightly more expensive. But the way people have talked about the tariffs when they were coming out, it was oh my God, we're all gonna not be able to afford anything. I would be curious in the next couple weeks when these go into effect in 2 days, right? is Amazon, or I think it was Amazon, right? Didn't they threaten to put like a ticker onto the price that said this is how much the tariff is gonna cost you?
Yeah, that did
I
come
Like,
out.
don't
I
you
love
think?
that idea.
Don't you?
I don't
It
know why.
was a good
Do you
idea.
think that's
And
now going to happen if it starts to really impact their business? Like, I
well,
don't.
they won't do it because Trump got too mad about it. But but other companies for sure are doing it already. Like on every invoice, they're
Yeah, why
saying
doesn't a
that
smaller
this is the
company that
tariff
has
impact.
literally zero like political sway? Why would they not do it? You know, like if they're not a massive company, they might as well just let them know, hey, this isn't our fault. We don't want to raise prices on you. This is your executive branch making this decision that you voted for. So, I mean, I would not be surprised if we start to see that. But yeah, I guess if people weren't aware, with the tariffs coming on August 1st, we might start to see that, and it's just something to think about.
Will he do it is also another question. He's got 2 days to just. You know what? What about another 30 days of,
True.
we got some good deals in the works. The best the deals you've never seen before. It's just don't have a good Trump impression.
How many times do you think he's ever said like you've never seen before? At least ten
Like
thousand.
I
Too many
kind of
to.
want to go into his brain. I wonder if he says that but means like I've never seen before. But like instinctively always says like we or like something like that. Like always he doesn't even know he's saying it, I wonder.
I
You
just
know?
don't think he has a
Like
very
it's just part
Yeah,
of
it's
his
expansive
part of
vocabulary.
vocabulary.
his.
I just don't think he
Yeah,
speaks to like the lowest common denominator, and he just doesn't have that expansive vocabulary. So he just says like the same things over and over, like things that in his mind believe that are it's a big deal. People like there's like buzzwords basically.
he's a salesman.
Always the best. It's always
I guess he's a
it's
salesman, so maybe he's
superlatives.
doing it on purpose. But
It's constant
I just
superlatives.
because,
It's like the best, the never seen before, the
but it
largest.
was
You
like
know,
some
it's
stuff
like
doesn't even make
it
sense.
doesn't.
He's talking about like trips he's taken on when my first trip to China, the greatest private thing that the country has ever seen, and that's just
He just believes if he
that's
says it
that
enough, other
that
people
doesn't make any
believe it too.
sense. Like anyone could take trips, but yeah, okay.
Well, you're to this point where like, and I think it got to this point in the first administration too, and I think people forgot about it. But you're to the point in the second administration where people are finally remembering that you just can't act on anything that he says. Like first few months of the administration, Market was like whipsawing back and forth everything he said. It was crazy, like insane. Now nobody cares. No one like takes whatever he says seriously, which is what you should do. You just shouldn't take it seriously. And then go from there. There have been thousands and thousands of hours, people hours invested in trying to quantify the impacts of tariffs and try to figure out a strategy for tariffs, and every day rethink how are we going to act on these tariffs, watching the tweets from Trump, watching everything, right? So much time. All for what? All to say like it's going to change tomorrow, all to say it's going to get pushed 30 more days, 90 more days, right? Like I cannot imagine. And you start to think about the amount of hours cumulatively across like the world's workforce that got spun up because of just this one initiative is crazy to me to think about. But I guess that's job security, I suppose, for a lot of people.
I didn't even think
Um,
about that because
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Also,
Uh,
in general, it's interesting. I know he's not really the conservative president; he's the MAGA president. But like, it's tend to believe that like the Republicans voted for someone who's like pro business, but these tariffs are not really pro business. They're pro for certain sectors of the business, but also it's like if you're going to implement tariffs, you don't want them to be a shock. You want to allow businesses to have time to adjust. Like what you're saying, Austin, is like your company's trying to guess because one day he says one thing and one day he says another. If he would have said August 1st, tariffs are going in place 100% from the beginning, nothing's changing, and that would have happened a couple months ago. Companies, and I'm sure they've tried to adjust for it, but it's like if they had more certainty, I'm sure they'd be happier. It's like they wouldn't be 100% happy with it, but it's like they'd at least be able to adjust in accordance with a strategy. But there's just so much guesswork. It's like, how is that pro business in any way?
Right. I mean, you get stuck in like a standstill of like you don't know what you want to do, right? Do you want to place that order for product from overseas now, or do you want to do it later because the tariff might be less? Or um, what do you want to do with your pricing? What do you want to do? Right? It like locks you in on all
Yeah,
this where
it's
you're just
putting
kind
more
of
hardship on
stuck
them.
in the mud. Um, so that's why people, I think, like finally people are starting to realize just don't listen to whatever is the news of the day and try to just keep moving. Um, all right. Well, that's what's going on in tariff land. Um, in other news, kind of on the other end of the economy, which I think is kind of funny. I mean, I'm someone who is like obviously keeping up with economic news every day, checking stock portfolios and whatnot on a daily or multi-daily basis. Um, and you're seeing like the other side of the economy being tech, like absolutely just continue to rip higher and higher and higher. Um, Meta released earnings today, up 11%. Microsoft up 7%. Uh, Robinhood has been the best performing stock in the of the year, which I fortunately
I
found
did not know
myself with
that.
a good piece of. Um, what else? I mean, every company, Nvidia also has been just on an absolute rocket ship up. So I think you're seeing like AI fueling all of this acceleration in tech, specifically right on the hardware side, and then also on like Meta. Right, what they're saying is they're able to generate more ad dollars using AI to optimize their ad campaigns to show you the right thing that generates more dollars per view or whatever it might be. So I think that's pretty interesting, and they're kind of like boosting up the economy overall or the stock market overall is the tech sector. But then you have a lot of these like underperformers for the year. Um, I'll say the Apple is still like down 15% this year because they haven't figured out what AI is yet. Um, so I don't know if they will figure it out eventually, but um, nonetheless, you I think also had I shared you guys this article earlier that Mark Zuckerberg wrote and released earlier today about what super intelligence would be, essentially kind of saying um, long and short that AI could be like kind of give super intelligence to every person, and they're going to do that or try to do that through creating the best models that enable you to have kind of the world's knowledge and power at your fingertips and through your wearable devices. So like they call out glasses in there as being like the form factor of future of computing, which is where they're going to like put all their eggs. They're investing 60-70 billion dollars, something like that, in AI this year, paying allegedly some OpenAI developers $100 million pay packages to come join the Meta team, and literally buying like existing AI companies just to take all their people for billions of dollars just to get access to the engineers. So obviously there's something there that they're seeing the value in, and they're continuing, not only them but their competitors, to keep investing in it. Um, so I I think Sam, our co-host, is pretty convinced that AI is dead and it's not gonna not gonna yield the results of what all this investment hopes for. Um, I don't know where you guys are at with AI these days. I continue to be disappointed with the level of accuracy of it, but I also am still shocked by like the things it's able to do and the things that I use it for every day. I mean, I don't go a day anymore now where I'm not probably making like 30 to 50 prompts to some AI engine. Like it is my go-to thing now that it's my thought partner in like anything I'm working on. Um, so on that front, I'm certainly getting value in it. But um, yeah, is it something that generates trillions and trillions of dollars of value? That's yet to be seen. So I don't know. Any thoughts on like AI landscape from either of you here in July of 2025?
I thought the so you named a couple. You said tech. but I want to be a little more specific. I was listening to another podcast, and there's actually this thing called the Magnificent Seven, which is companies like Nvidia, Google, I think
Apple.
Meta's one of them, Apple, um, who basically prop up the entire S&P 500. So, these guys were joking on the podcast. The All In, they're saying uh, the Magnificent Seven and the S&P 493 because it literally is. If you take out those seven, that index has not been performing well. So basically, you have these companies that are able to invest these billions of dollars. They're doing all right. I didn't know that the Meta earning came out positive with targeted ads like that. That's kind of interesting. I bet that would be the easiest one to do, though, targeted ads. But um, I wanted to get a pack of gum while you're eating, Austin, though, because and I was gonna blow a bubble for kind of comedic effect, and it was gonna pop at the end of your little spiel, because it does seem like there's just so much money being poured into this thing, and obviously I wasn't old enough during the .com bubble, but there's no way that there can't be at least some companies that are uh, hemorrhaging money and just I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe a breakthrough in terms of an AI that really does turn their company from 25 employees to 2. But there's going to be, I feel like, significant fallout because of all the money that's been poured into here. This is insane.
I think you're probably right that there is a bubble going on, and I mean, that is a perfect comparison. I think with the internet, it's like the .com boom is right. That kind of exploded, right? But it's like the internet was still super valuable, and there was still so much money to be made there. So I would imagine it's going to be the same thing with AI, where there's a handful of companies that will be really successful in it, and they'll make a shit ton of money on it. But all these companies that are trying to do it, a lot of them will fall out and go bankrupt, and there'll just be the couple of victors who make all the money, and it's going to be just like probably like with all the social media companies and the internet companies. So Facebook, Meta, Google. So yeah, we might just be getting closer to that bubble, and then who knows, in the next 10 years after that, the AI is going to break through. Like, I have no shortcomings about like how successful AI will be. Like, AI will take over our lives at some point where it's just going to be so integrated with us. But I don't think it's going to be within the next like 5 years, like some people think.
Now, have you guys seen any pushback? I've been thinking about this. There's always normally a counterculture to something. If 80% are doing something, there's always a 20% pushing back against it and forming their own thing. Is there an answer for a counterculture to AI? Is there something that people are going to turn to instead of being AI dependent? I'm currently not seeing anything. Like, I got people telling me use more AI, use more AI, use more AI, which is kind of ironic because if it's like your managers or your bosses, technically the end goal for any company is kind of to get rid of employees to lower wages. So they're like, use AI, use AI, and eventually down the road, then, oh, thank you for your services, we don't need you anymore. But I mean, that's the way of the world, I think. But is there a counter to this? Have you guys seen anything like a
I mean,
counter?
Sam tries to tell us that we should all go live in the woods.
Yeah,
But I'm saying
Right, and
outside of
like
Sam,
disconnect.
we all know
But
Sam, but like even outside of that's the thing though. Outside of Sam,
no,
I
I would say
don't
I
know
don't
if I've
have
seen
much of a
anything.
pushback. I will say though that I also am a bit afraid that I may be swimming in like not even the deep end, but like the deepest part of the ocean. Like I feel like I'm so inundated with what's happening with AI and like using this stuff that I think um I don't actually I don't
have
really
a
know
grasp
like
on
the
reality.
majority. Yes, yes. I don't know like what the reality of people like the general populace is actually using what they're using. I don't know. And I don't know if they've kind of thought through the ramifications of it. I think it's thought of as just kind of fun thing. Rewrite this email for me. Cool, it did it. Tell me a joke, make a picture, whatever. The majority of people are still in that phase. Then I don't think that there's gonna kind of this like uprising to say like, oh my god, we have to do something different or stop this thing, because there's not that many examples of companies who have really successfully been able to actually execute on lowering the amount of their like the size of their workforce using AI. I think there was an article in the Wall Street Journal this week about how college grads are having a harder time finding work for like entry level roles, especially like white collar entry level, which I think is true. But I also don't want to dismiss that that could just be the state of where the economy is, and this kind of fact that everybody is kind of tightening their purse strings at all companies. I don't know that it's necessarily exactly correlated to the fact that AI is just all of a sudden doing the work of all those jobs. Sure, it's taken some of the labor away from what those jobs are doing, but for the fact that it doesn't even know, like it can't accurately tell me something like what's the price of Nvidia. It messed this up the other day. Tell me the price of Nvidia stock and like run this analysis for me that I asked for. It comes on and says, oh well, your cost basis for Nvidia is 107 and we think Nvidia could be worth $1,200. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's insane. It's like, oh, sorry, forgot that they did a 10 for 1 stock split. So actually we had the value like 10x too much. Right? It doesn't know that. It doesn't know like who the president is, it seems like every time I ask. So it's not like you're replacing you cannot rely on it good enough anymore, like even today, to kind of like make all the decisions. Sure, it's streamlined things, it's made things faster, it's improved productivity. So I don't even know where I was going with this other than saying that um I don't think that it's thought of as this like this thing that we have to fight against yet by the mass or general populace.
I wonder if it's going to ever get there. It's kind of interesting what you're saying about it not being right. You don't feel like that has impacted the way you've used it though, because it hallucinates. I was a little skeptical of the hallucinations when people first started reporting it, but the more I'm starting to see patterns of when it hallucinates. If you give something too complicated, there's a high chance it will hallucinate. If you give us a straightforward ask, like what is the stock of Nvidia price, but just nothing else, it's okay at that. And maybe your analysis might have messed it up a little bit, like what you were asking for. But it's not good at complex stuff, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely like way more. I definitely am cautious of like where the output is going or what I'm using it for, right? And like what the
Yeah,
how high are the stakes of what this is doing. And now I've started to use multiple where I'm giving answers from one to another to from ChatGPT, feed that answer into Grok and have it fact check or vice versa, or go from say like Replete is struggling with like a bug, right, that I'm trying to solve. Replete tells me that this is the problem. I'll give that to ChatGPT and say, is Replete like BSing me? Or is this actually like a valid reason for what might be happening? Um, so I think I'm starting to like game the system and jump around and sort of use them as individual like different people that I can bounce the
different people you'd
analysis
hire at
off
a
of.
company. Like this guy's good at
Yeah.
this. This guy's good at
Yeah.
this.
Um, which I mean, I don't know if they all converge on eventually like one big huge model. Like that's
Well,
why
superintelligence, the Facebook thing is interesting. Like, could you arm your 90-year-old grandmother with superintelligence? Like, what would that look like compared to like a 15-year-old with superintelligence? Like, how would their lives be different? Just the
yeah.
idea of that's kind of interesting.
That's something, Matthew, I want you to comment on this because I feel like you'll have some insights. Something I have thought about a decent amount is how, for honestly my own sake, but also just like I have aging grandparents and stuff, and we're getting older. But also just for my own like life. How do I stay like extremely productive? Like if I wanted to be really productive after I'm retired and like in my old years, and still be like able to like produce and add value to society. how do I do that? And I would think that AI is the solution for enabling people to do that. But then I do wonder, like, is it more of a will thing that of why like you don't get that value add from that older population? Like people just truly want to retire and then be retired, or is it that we don't have like a good way for them to add value today?
It depends on what your definition of productive is, but I think if I were old and I got bored with my retirement, because I think that happens at some point, I think the best way that those people can be productive in society is basically volunteering their time. Or, I mean, they get paid for it too, but like, you know, there are a lot of people who are disadvantaged that need help. And so, like, I know my grandpa like volunteers for like Meals on Wheels every like Wednesday and like delivers meals to people who are who like can't get out of their home or like are disabled. So it's like, I feel like where there are gaps in our system that don't get covered. It's kind of like the whole Reaganomics, the trickle down effect. Like, oh, if the rich people get enough money, they'll just keep investing back into the economy. Well, a lot of times it doesn't work out that way, and then there are still a lot of like gaps where things need to be filled that aren't necessarily filled by businesses because they don't have a financial incentive to create a business around it. You basically need volunteers to like go in and do those things. So I'd imagine that's what you'd do as an old person if you felt like you needed to add some value to your life.
What about when you're like really old and you're like stuck in like you're like in your nursing home?
Oh, I mean,
Like you're not going out and doing Meals on Wheels.
at that point, you're just
Is there a way that you could like
alive. I don't know.
I know, but like how do you make that more of like a value, like an experience where you're providing a value?
That's where you hope the
when
AI
you're
gets
at
really
that
good and
state.
it becomes virtual reality and you can just live on the cloud.
Live on the
Because if you
server,
can't get
yeah,
out of
in the
your home,
clouds.
I mean, what do people who are disabled do? People who are in wheelchairs. I mean, they mostly have to work remote jobs, right? And that's kind of a newer thing. And if they don't, the job having a job is very difficult. So yeah, internet jobs. That's what's like kind of. I think that's what scares people the most. Is like definitely people were scared when like the internet came around. Like, oh, the internet's just gonna get rid of people's jobs. But the internet then created a lot of jobs. Like, I mean, mine. Like, I work for a company that has a software, so it's like we can create jobs around that. AI could potentially do that, but like the whole goal of AI also is just to like do it all for you. So I'm not sure how it's necessarily going to create as many jobs. That's where the big question mark is for me. And maybe I just can't
That's the
see
big
it
question
yet.
is like, what
Maybe I
is
can't
the,
see that.
yeah.
And
Well, right. That's what we don't know. It's like the plow got replaced by the tractor. All those people, like, eventually we found new ways to employ them. Then the internet, same thing, like, took away people whose job was to fax things all day because now there's email. I think that's the uncertainty. You don't know what jobs necessarily or what order the jobs are going to go away from AI, and you don't know what the replacement's going to be. What'd you say, Justin?
Fact checkers. That's gonna be a. We're gonna have
people,
100 million fact checkers employed
the library is never
for
going to be more
AI moving
popular.
forward. The library. Yeah,
Get your
I
library
mean, I'm
card
kind of
now.
joking, but at the same time, but like, why haven't we figured this out? Because we are seeing this. It's coming. Like this AI wave is coming. You're not gonna be able to stop it. It's just how fast. But that means there's got to be the next punch, right? You hit him. Okay, the companies now replace everyone with AI. There's got to be a left hook, or society's not gonna come back.
I would
Like
say,
people have to do stuff.
do you guys still Google stuff or do you just use AI?
AI.
Okay, because
I'm still probably 70% AI, 30% Google.
Okay, because I still Google stuff, and I've started like Google is really pushing their AI on you. Like when you Google something, the first drop down is whatever their AI comes up with, and then it's like a lot of details. I feel like
Claude or
not
something.
intentionally, but I'm defaulting to like reading it. I'm like,
Gemini.
oh, it's right at the top. It's like pretty informational, but I do catch myself having to think, okay, maybe I should look at something else because who knows if this is accurate or not. Usually they have links at the bottom to like the sources of it, so it like takes you to the website
Yeah.
of where they
How does
like.
that not cannibalize page views? I was wondering that. Like, if I'm Google and I'm doing something, looking up a chicken recipe, and it gives me a full chicken recipe in the AI result, did that page just get did that person get an extra view, or am I just skipping their page all entirely? All the ads on their page are not getting
Skipping
clicked.
their
That's
page.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's cannibalism. I don't know how Google. They must be doing something. I don't understand.
Yeah, well,
I'm
that's
sure
what.
they're probably like they originally were, where it's like, oh look, it's free now, and then you're gonna get it just like any other product. It's like, oh, it's really accessible right now. This is great product. Like I'm getting it. I don't get bombarded by ads. I don't have to pay for it. And then eventually, once they realize that people are using it, they'll find a way to throw ads in there. I'm not sure how they're gonna do it, but I think they're I
To
think they're
get your
making
AI
it accessible.
response,
It's
please
like
watch this video.
yeah, it's like Uber or Airbnb. They're super cheap for a long time, and they're like, "Oh, everybody's using us now. We're gonna jack up these rates." So I think that's personally what they're doing right now. They're just trying to get people to get on board and enjoy using it, and then eventually they'll find ways to put ads. It'll probably just be in between. Like you read one paragraph, and then it's like, "Boom, American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney. She's got good genes." And then you're like, "Oh, I gotta get the rest of my chicken recipe. Where is it?" Just keep scrolling.
Well, that's what's actually interesting. So they're because Google released earnings recently too, and search revenue was up 12%. Year over year. So like they're making more money, even though that these AI overviews are in like what 15, let's just say 15% of queries. It's showing an AI overview, but they've been able to better optimize the placement of the ads and what you see, and be able to drive more.
Like on the pages that are showing ads, basically.
Now
Yeah,
this is
like on all the
interesting.
placements that Google has, they've been able to optimize.
This is a thought, and
What's shown.
there's no credibility to this. It's totally a question, but I'd like your guys' opinion. So you know how you can right now pay for ads, or you can pay for your site to be moved up with a list in Google. Like if you say, yeah, if you want to pay, like, oh, for the search result, you're going to be right at the top of the list. Do you think Google is selling their AI logic, like selling those links to their AI logic, saying like, if someone searches for chicken, I want your AI to take the data from my website to come up with the answer, so then at the bottom my link is there. I have no idea if they are or not. This is totally just a question. I mean, that would be a way
You would
for them
hopefully
You're right,
hope
they
it
are.
would not be.
Google, we can ask. Google is now charging advertisers for placements within its AI overviews, effectively extending its paid search model right into AI generated answers. So yeah, exactly
you
what
go.
you just described.
So
Well,
they're
that
just, you're
that
just like
completely.
paying to get the supposedly AI answer, but it's really just whatever company is paying to get
Well,
in
it's
the
Amazon's choice. Like you guys know that Amazon, you search up an item and it says Amazon's choice, and it has whatever item. Amazon's choice is paid for by whatever that product
Wait,
is.
what is
The
Amazon's
one you want to
choice?
look for, like look up any product on Amazon right now on your own, and it'll show you like Amazon's preferred or Amazon's choice. But if you keep going down the list, you'll see overall pick. It's normally in black and white. Overall pick is purely based on reviews and returns. So overall pick is high rated reviews, fewer returns. Amazon's choice is purely ad based. So don't pick Amazon's choice.
I see what you're saying.
Well, don't
Yeah.
just think of it as the go to. Look at overall pick, and that's actually more likely the better product for what you
Gotcha.
need.
Amazon's
That's a little
choice is
Amazon
like,
hack.
Amazon's choice is like, hey, these people are paying for our ads, but they kind of sell it
Yeah,
to everybody like,
They're
oh, this
paying a
is the
lot for
best
these
product
ads.
that we have under this
Yeah.
Yeah.
category.
What did
Okay.
you just search for, Matthew?
Me?
What did you search for on Amazon? Did you just do an Amazon search?
No. I'm on my
I thought
phone.
you
I
did an
can't.
Amazon
An
search
Amazon
to
search?
see the truth. And I wanted to see what your first instinct was of something to type into the search bar on
Hey,
Amazon.
yo.
Man, I haven't played
That
with
was
a
my
yo-yo
first
in a
thought. What's
while.
Amazon's choice for a yo-yo?
Yeah. Yo yo. Um.
I was a little confused with
All
what you're
right.
saying
Well.
there, but yeah, okay, makes sense now.
That's our AI segment
All
for the
right,
day.
we did it.
I think last topic on the old docket here as we make our way through the T app. So I wasn't too familiar with this, but it seemed like it really, really caught on. So I'll just read a bit of a summary in case you have not heard about this. TEA is a women-only anonymous dating review platform launched in 2023 by Sean Cook, aiming to help women vet men before dating through community-shared red flag warnings, AI-powered image checks, background searches, verification processes. It surged to become the #1 lifestyle app on the Apple US App Store in mid-July 2025, quickly attracting 4 million users and explosive growth and social media attention. However, the platform suffered a major data breach at the end of July, exposing approximately 72,000 images in an unsecured legacy Firebase storage system. These included about 13,000 selfies and ID photos used for user verification, plus 60,000 other images from user posts, messages, and comments. Exposed content includes sensitive discussions on topics like abortion, infidelity, and sexual violence, some reportedly containing personally identifying details, and was briefly posted on 4chan before being taken down. They acknowledged that this was a problem. They've tried to update their systems, yada, 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 yada. So I want to have two conversations about this. One, the so the thought or what was going around on X was that this was vibe coded. So as many of you have maybe heard from the podcast, I'm partaking in some vibe coding myself. So the first joke from the boys here was that if my app to be beta coming soon, by the way, you guys are going to have to sign up for the beta. Um, but is my is my app that I'm vibe coding going to be subject to these types of attacks? The answer is probably yes. Until I get some more brains behind the code. Um, so I want to talk about kind of the technical side, which I'm hoping Justin can opine on a little bit. And then the other piece I just want to talk about is just this idea of the concept of this app to begin with, um, and sort of it feels like this is possibly like a ripe for lawsuits of like for defamation lawsuits, assuming that right you could post a red flag about anyone who you didn't even maybe partake in a date with or actually have a real red flag on, and you could sort of kind of ruin their credibility. Now, counterpoint to that, obviously this could happen with any type of social media network where you could spin up a story, but just the explicit point of the app being um, for this purpose only of kind of these red flags was surprising to me. So wanted to chat about it. Where do we want to begin? You want to cover the tech part first, or more of the moral quandary that this
I mean, the tech
thing
part's not.
creates?
So, an unsecured legacy Firebase storage system. So, Fire. I'm not super familiar with Firebase, but an unsecured legacy Firebase storage system. I mean, it just means they didn't have proper um, permissioning on that storage system. So,
Yeah, that's what I basically saw. Like it was like once you figured out the structure of the link, you could basically go and just run
it
a
now
scrape that
now
would
that is
pull
a
everything.
blatant miss and a very easy one uh, to prevent. So, T probably has a shitty security department, if they have any
I'm
at
not sure they
all.
have a security department.
That is the fact that they had that 72,000 images. Well, 72,000 is not actually that much, but that is like very basic shit. So I don't think we need to dive too much into technical side, but it is interesting how they coded this. Like, let's say they do a replete, and we need to set up a Firebase storage system. That's what replete said, and then it did, and then they're like, oh, it's working, so let's leave it at that. But I mean, I guess I'm not gonna dive too much into that because I don't know how they coded this thing. But yeah, I mean, that's an
I mean, it's
easy.
more like the question of like AI code in general. If that's like behind everything and you're now empowering people who are non-technical like myself to be able
Well,
to
the new
spin
phrase
up.
they're using, right, is vibe
What?
coding.
Yeah.
Like people that don't know coding
yeah.
at all, just saying,
Right.
"Hey, I want this. Oh yeah, this looks good. I want this to look like this."
Right.
Vibe coding, and this. I mean,
Right.
we can't say that they were doing this here, but.
But I mean, that's what I'm literally doing anything I can just to solve the bugs to make the thing work. I don't know what the thing is doing, what the AI is doing in the background to please me in making it work. I'm just telling it, "Hey, idiot, this should not be hard to play a video on an iOS device. Do it." Like that's what I say. And then I don't know what it does after that, you know? Like whatever strings it's having to pull to please my demand. And then that's going to just be out in the public somewhere, and Matthew's going to sign up for the beta, and he's going to sign up his grandpa, and his grandpa's going to send him a heartfelt video response to the prompt that Matthew sends him one day, and then that's going to get leaked on X because I didn't have proper security.
Looking
So
forward to it.
Well, I do think that this is going to be more common. These type of breaches, I could see in the next 5 to 10 years be very common because of coding like this, where there's no offense against you, Austin. You got great ideas, but you don't have security or like basic security knowledge. So you do rely on yourself having to say, "Hey, replete, implement IAM permissioning on this Google storage bucket. Make sure that no one can access." Like it would be something like that. I don't know if replete could do that, but
and I haven't once said anything about it. I have not once said make sure this is secure or
so
make sure no one
you're
can
basically
access,
gambling that the code which is for replete is like Sonnet, like Google Sonnet or something like that, is able to code with security in mind, which I think is still a major gamble to do any coding with because we don't know that for a fact. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of breaches for any app that was made in the last 2 years. High chance. Well, not, I would say not. Well, yeah. When did ChatGPT come out? 2022, right? I think we had a podcast about it when it first came out. It was pretty crazy. No, we didn't have a podcast. We just had our offline talks.
offline talks.
Maybe episode 0 with Sam filmed.
God.
So any app from then to now, or in the future, I could see getting exploited, and I think a lot of these cases are going to come out.
Yeah, and I mean even companies that are like have existed longer term, but now are using AI to ship a lot of new features and are like being able to code things that they haven't been able to in the past because they didn't have the infrastructure set up to do it. Now also are at risk.
I
If they
think
don't have
have
proper
access.
security in place.
You get access to the code base though, right, Austin? Like after you tell the AI to code it, like you get the code, right?
Yes.
Okay. So companies
But I
can
don't know like what
mitigate this
I don't
if
know
they,
what to do with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're both right where it's like in the future this is definitely still going to be a problem. But you can still mitigate it if you hire someone who knows IT security and tries to, mess with the whole system and see how many different ways he can hack it and then try to plug those holes, right? So it's still something
for
to
any
fix,
people
but,
listening. Yeah, for anybody listening to this podcast, job security or who is conscious about job security, IT security is going to be major still moving forward. And that whole industry of security in general in terms of Internet of Things, that's in it. That tell your kids to go into that because that's not going away anytime soon. Even with AI, you're gonna have AI combating AI now. That's gonna be the new kind of warfare that's gonna go on. Like I know AI models are now like they're being used in phishing attacks, which is kind of a next step in term. If I was a bad actor, I would 100%. Why would you not use ChatGPT to make your perfect phishing emails?
Yeah.
Like I need a list of employees at this company. I have their names. I have their positions. Oh, they were hired here. They might be getting a promotion in a year, so I'm going to make a spoofing email about an upcoming promotion plan. Like, I'm not saying I want to be a fisher, but I feel like that job would be so easy nowadays.
At some point, it's going to get so
Believe they're not
good.
making money.
It's going to get so good, you're like, can I respond to an email? They're going to have to start creating, like,
Yeah.
it's going to have to be, like, dual-factor authentication just to, like, open emails. You're going to have to, like, generate a new code every time you get
You're joking,
an email to see if it's,
some
like,
sort
the
of
one that lines
token.
up. I'm not joking. I actually think it's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
serious. It's like that's sad, but you're right. It could get to that place. Hopefully, it doesn't. You're gonna have to like come up with
I was gonna say
codes
you'll have to go back
amongst
to using
yourself.
phones, but
You have to come up with codes amongst your coworkers and be like, make sure you throw primrose in your email so I know it was you.
But you can only say that in person. You can't
But
say
you
that over
change
the
every
line
day. Like
because
every day,
online.
you meet with your
Yeah.
team. You're like, if you're gonna send an email, you have a new keyword. This week it's ding dong. Next week it's.
Oh man.
funny. Okay, so on the ethical front, are we pro or against like this concept of app? I think it makes it pretty hard to be a single man in the United States of America or in the world.
Yeah,
But I wish I am not, but I'm saying if you are a single man,
you
um,
you sent this in our group chat like what a couple days ago, and I was interested as well. I thought it's an interesting concept. Like I totally understand the premise of it. I kind of see it from both sides. I understand the premise of like there are a lot of bad dudes out there, and I don't know. Is this only for women? I actually don't know. I mean, it can go both ways, right? So there are
it's
bad
just for
people
women.
out there. So it's like I get the idea of someone wanting to create an app where you can put basically information out about people who like might be bad people, you know. So I get that, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, just like anything else. It's like just because someone went on a bad date with someone and it just didn't go well, they might hold a grudge against you, and then they put they just destroy your name on the internet for what? Like for what? Just having a bad date? Who knows? Maybe the person who posted on this website is crazy or just like a bad actor. You know, like how can you? It's an unreliable narrator scenario here. It's like, well, you gonna take the word for this person who's on this app to let people know about bad actors? I feel like that's a person I wouldn't trust. Like, would you go on the internet and post about somebody that you had a bad date with? Because I sure wouldn't. Like, I would just let it go. Be like, oh,
I
this is a
think the
bad person.
younger
I'm not gonna date
generation
them.
is much more. I think like the younger generation is probably more a female thing too. Is much more like willing to go do things like that. I agree that it's crazy. I mean, like this person could say that you had an employee who was a woman and she was performing very poorly. You fired her, never went on a date, but then she goes on the app and gives you a red flag because you're some sort of, you know,
On Netflix, it's like the futuristic show. It's like one of those. What'd you say?
Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's like Black Mirror stuff. It's
Black
like it's
Mirror.
a rating system. You're like rating people based on like
Right.
your
That
interaction with them, and you don't want to like piss
yeah, and
somebody
that's
off.
the tough
Everybody's so
thing.
scared to like hurt someone's
What's a
feelings.
verified interaction too? Yeah, like
Right. What's very yeah, how do and then if I can't go on the app and like give you an upvote, like I'm your friend and I think, well, shoot, Matthew's not some sort of, pedophile bad person. I want to give him an upvote. Well, I can't go do that because I'm not a woman that
Yeah,
went on a date with you apparently. Um
we can go any
so
time you'd like.
thank you. I'm on my way to Nashville tonight
it's not where
or
Matthew
to
lives.
wherever you live. Yeah, to wherever you live.
Yeah.
But
So
then I think also like you could also take to X, right? You could take to X after your date or after you fired this woman
yeah,
hypothetically, let's say, and she could post in there. And then if I'm gonna or you're going on a date with a new person searches Matthew Facenda, bang comes up on X, and it's a random X post of some woman like saying bad stuff about you. I don't know. To me, that's like I think kind of different than
it's totally
this
different.
community where it's the sole purpose is to rate your dating interaction.
Yeah, you're rating people. This is in you when you're on social media, you can put a comment about I went on a bad date with this person, and then like your friends see it and you move on. Like a random person on the internet is now not gonna like see that I had a bad date with someone. But if people are explicitly going on a website to see who's a good person or a bad person, like that's the explicit intent of this. Maybe not the goal of it, but it's what like people get from it is like, oh, this person might be a bad person. I shouldn't go on a date with them. Isn't that up to you to decide? I mean, this should only
Yeah.
be like more of a this person's like a sex offender, or like this person like sexually assaulted me. Like those are the people you want to.
Well, there's already
That's
like
a
a
public
list for
list
that.
already.
Yes,
There's
that's
already a
public. That's
list
the
to do
idea. This
that
is
for
like
the
a
exact
nicer
reason.
version of that, right? It's like, oh, this person might have like crossed the line on
Yeah.
a date. I want people to know that. But it's like, oh, he didn't pay for my dinner. And it's like you can now go rate that and tell people that you think this is a bad person, and then people just believe stuff on the internet. I just think that's a bad precedent to set with
I
like
think it should go down. I think the idea is fine if they could take down, like, okay, instead of what currently, granted, I've never been on the app, so I have no idea what the experience is
We
like.
can't even get on. That's the problem. We couldn't even get on the
Well,
app to go
okay,
defend
I'm
ourselves.
still offering a solution here for the app, even though people might not like that. Say some sort of confirmation that, like, yes, this person has been on a date with this person. To get into contact with this lady, text this number. You know, I would feel, to like Matthew's point, then like you would be reaching out personally to someone that has gone on a verified date with this person, and you'd learn more instead of like publicly, because you're suspect to public doxing of a person when, let's say, you have 100 downvotes and only 5 people actually have gone on a date with a guy. Like, that's, granted, maybe the app's got a way around that. I don't know how you get around that, but like that would be the fear. Is like, okay, this person just got on a shit list for a week and now has 10,000 downvotes, and now every time he comes up, he gets 10,000 more downvotes because now it's kind of like a meme. Everybody just downvotes this guy.
Yeah. It's just a bad precedent, in my opinion.
T can take that. I don't take responsibility. They can take that idea and run with it.
This is interesting. So the there's this section 230 clause that's gotten talked about. It's a law that's gotten talked about a lot in regards to social media not being liable for what's posted on their social media platform.
Yeah.
And so that the T app is actually protected under this, right? So like they're saying what they're saying the law says is we're not liable if like there is defamation posted on this app. People can post whatever they want. It's just fine, whatever. But you could technically sue someone for defamation for what they did say on the app. Like if someone did,
How would you ever know?
Austin is a pedophile. That's the problem. You have like no way of going to like defend yourself.
You might just go on a date with a girl and then have a terrible experience. You're like, why is this girl so mad at me the whole time? And then it's because she saw this like history of something. Like it's just dumb. Not that I'm going on dates. Let me get that out there. Not that I'm going on dates right now with women.
I also don't know what to do about it though. Like, do you make it? This is where I can't. This is where I struggle. Like, then do you make it illegal? Do we shut down the internet?
I don't know.
In a way.
I think that this is a bad product. The fact that they got so hacked so easily and released all this private data. At that point, they could definitely get sued, right? They could get sued by the people who verified their identifications with them, right? Their identity.
Well, whatever their
like all those IDs they got released.
Right?
You think it's in the terms?
It'll be some sort of like class action. It'll be some like silly settlement of like you get $10 or something.
Yeah.
Like my Celsius settlement, $26.
Just seems like a bad app. Seems like a bad idea. I get the concept behind it, but not every idea should go into practice because there are externalities that they don't plan on creating that come up, and that creates more problems than the solution that they're trying to get.
That's a whole different topic too. Like American culture, I don't even know if it's American culture, but human nature, where you take, Austin, you got to think about this on your app. Like you take the original idea of something and you just pervert it in a way where all of a sudden it gets off the rails and the app's not used in its intended purpose at all. So like, why do we do that as humans? Like why is that such a common thing? Again, a big topic. I think we should save for another episode, but that's kind of what Matt's saying. I wonder if that's this app. Great idea. I actually kind of like it. Like if you just boil it down to avoid sexual predators or like really bad people. I don't want bad people to go on good dates, right? Bad people are bad people, right? But like, how do you
apply a different context of like electricians, right? It's like it's an app to rate your electrician. after they come and do the work, or any type of contract or whatever. Sure, sounds like super interesting, useful. Like that'd be great. And that kind of exists through like, Angie's List or whatever the other
Google, any review of
what's
any
the other
business.
Google, yeah, Google reviews, right? The thing about those things, at least Google reviews, is like if you do get a bad Google review, you actually can go like fight it,
You
or
can
you
address
can
it.
go request for it to be removed. Right? You can go try to like that. Google actually does sort of like a mediation to try to figure out what's true and what's not. Um, with this app, I don't think you really have the ability if you're a man to get into it even. So I'm not sure how you
Luckily, it's a small
fight it.
enough platform that it's not a
But
big enough issue. It's like, Google or
I hope it kind
Facebook.
of dies off.
Yeah, Facebook didn't have to start, or Google didn't have to start having like or Twitter, right? They didn't have to start hiring these like sectors of their company to like check if facts were real until they got big enough where it actually mattered. Like this company doesn't matter right now, so it's not a big enough issue.
4 million users on the T app.
Meh.
That's what they need. They need like the community notes feature so that like other people can say, "Oh, can you imagine? You get community
Keep
noted like
Grok on the
20,
T app.
20 other women commented, "Oh, I actually had an extremely great night with Matthew. He's very impressive." Winky face. Like, and that's the community note that's upvoted by like 20 people.
It's a note I'm expecting.
Oh boy.
Now I'm curious if all of our data's out there, all the dates we've been on.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm on there. You know what would have probably been smart for this segment? To have a woman to come on as a guest and give us
I know.
her
I said that
perspective.
tongue in cheek. All the dates we've been on, considering you guys have you both are married and dated the
Lots to
same
date.
girl for
Kind of
like
dry in the
a
dating
long
area for a
time.
while.
Yeah, yeah.
Although, with Sam gone, I heard there's an avid listener kind of in his sphere of influence that maybe she would get on and talk about this.
Really? Who is this?
Sam's girlfriend.
Oh, does she want to join the show next
Well,
week?
I
Or
just know that
whenever we
she's
do
an
it?
avid listener.
We should have
so
replaced
maybe
Sam
she
with
would
her,
join.
even though
I
Austin
was
and I haven't met her.
I was thinking that we should. I know that'd be a funny first meeting. But I was thinking that we should
like
have
just a cold
co-host.
join, like, hey.
All right, well, that's going to do it for episode number 12. That was a fun one. Any reflections, boys? I know it was a bit shorter than usual, not to make a little jab at Justin's height there, but maybe shorter than the typical episode, but I think we covered a lot of ground. So, what'd you guys think? You happy with our performance without Sam?
I think it was better.
It
Who
was
needs him?
it was
Good riddance.
succinct. Yeah, it was better. I think we are feeling maybe a little more positive leaving this episode. I think Sam always provides some ideas that have a grain of truth, where we all kind of feel sad if these ideas are fully coming to fruition with him. So I'm a little more positive at the end of this episode, and that's not a dig against Sam. It's just he's got some.
It means that we're
I
probably
think
blind to what the reality really is
Yeah, he's
going to
probably
be.
more realistic
But
than the rest of us.
Sam likes to go by the futurist, and
Yeah, I
I
enjoyed it.
understand that. But he's almost like the existentialist. He likes to think big picture about how the world goes around, and that's maybe where the pessimism leads to, because existentialism is very thought provoking. But I think as a whole, we kind of spread the gambit today, right? Like we hit on a lot of different topics. So of course we couldn't go without a little AI in there, but I think we did a good enough job of getting some other topics across, spreading around the economy, and uh, I don't think we addressed any like science this time, but that's okay. None of us are experts, and I think we did a pretty good job without him. I think he'd appreciate our performance, don't you?
yeah, I hope we made him proud, and maybe he'll listen to episode 12 if he can't handle the silence. If nothing else, maybe he'll listen to episode 12 during the retreat, and share it with the fellow people that he's going to be doing the retreat with. So
We can only dream.
with that, it was fun. Make sure that you like, subscribe, as always. Hit the notification bell so you can see when we have a new show or a new short. We're back on the shorts, posting those every week. So Make sure that you just get fully engaged in Symposium. Send us an email, symposium574@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. And with that, we will see you in a couple weeks for episode number 13.
We've been talking since the 5th grade, and somehow we've got more to say. Beat kicks and faster rhythm. Inflation's high, the game's too steep. Stream wars rage while we lose sleep. Big tech's wild, the Fed's a mess, but let's start a party, I guess. Symposium, where tangents thrive. Old friends talk and the takes collide. Symposium, no wrong or right, just good conversation deep into the night. Yeah, we're still talking.